This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
You know that goal you set at the start of the year? You can still do it. Whether you're committed to a thru hike with friends, lifting heavier, or simply walking more. It's not too late to stick with it and make your future self proud, especially with the all-in-one nutrition shake from Cavil. Because quality nutrition shouldn't be complicated. Just 2 scoops of Cavil's all-in-one nutrition shake, and you've got 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and so much more. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. So instead of adding to your backstock of supplements that overpromise and underdeliver, simplify your progress with just 2 scoops of the highest quality ingredients. Stick with your wellness goals. Go to Kenyatta.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's Kenyatta.com and use code NEWS. KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
All right, HBCU Legends fans, and as well as just avid sports fans, I'm Kyle T. Mosley, and welcome to Sunday night's show. I know most of you guys may be looking at the Grammy Awards at this time, but there's a couple of issues that we'd like to talk about, especially when it comes to the Tuskegee basketball coach Benjy Taylor and his incident at Morehouse College. And we're going to talk about the PVIL Story, which is a historic event within itself. We had a screening of the documentary that took place here in the Houston area. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So if you have an opportunity, go to HBCU Legends on our YouTube channel, join, subscribe, as well as follow us on social media at HBCU Legends. And you can be able to follow me at KTMOZE on social media as well. And you can go to hbculegends.net to be able to follow all of our content on Sports Illustrated. All right, Kyle T. Mosley here. And guys, it's been an interesting 24 hours. Coach Benjy Taylor from Tuskegee University was handcuffed post-game when the young men were doing their post-game handshakes, which we found out it was determined that that should not have occurred on yesterday. So, but anyway, Coach Taylor was concerned that there were a few football players from Morehouse College that were making some incendiary comments, and they also went through the line dapping up the young men from the basketball team of Tuskegee University. I don't know why they were participating, but if you guys don't know, also Morehouse does not have a head football coach yet. They don't have their last HBCU to be able to really put into place a new leadership at the football coaching position, which is odd within itself as well. Being a Division II team, National Signing Day is coming up this Wednesday. That's not a big issue for them, but still there's no leadership in place. Okay, how do we unwrap the fact that now Coach Benjy Taylor, he was trying to get protection from the security guard or the police officer at Morehouse at Forbes Arena. And he was, after a discussion with that security officer, he was taken off of the court, led into the tunnel in handcuffs. Not a great look at all. We're talking about in an era right now where everybody's senses are heightened, especially what's happening in our country. And to have a leader of young men being led off in handcuffs, so it's not a good look. And it's going to be a look that is going to be played forever. If you know the internet has everything forever, so to speak. A friend of mine who's an attorney said, what you do, be very careful, because it's now going to be in somebody's record somewhere, shape, or form. And right now it's in the record for Coach Taylor. His family has to look at this. He has to respond to it. Fortunately, VP of Athletics, Intercollegiate Athletics, Reginald Ruffin, responded very quickly, put out a statement in support of Coach Taylor. And he said it's not becoming of Coach Taylor. It's not typically his manner to be able to do anything unbecoming that would put a bad reputation or tarnish the name of Tuskegee University. Morehouse has not put out a statement. They have not said anything whatsoever. We haven't heard anything from Harold Ellis, who is the athletic director. We haven't heard anything from Dr. Bowman, who is the new president of Morehouse College. It's quite alarming not to have the leadership of my beloved institution to say anything on the behalf of at least trying to calm the situation, or at least giving some clarity, or providing that there would be some investigation or some sort of clarity for interested parties. Now we have had this escalate to a national spectacle, in my opinion, where you have outlets such as Bro Bible and Yahoo and Field of 68 and other news outlets that are outside of the HBCU world covering this event, covering this situation. And I'm not trying to belittle my school, but there's got to be a better public relations response than no word at all. So earlier today, I received an email from Coach Taylor's attorney, and his new attorney, who is a civil rights attorney, Harry McDaniels. He is going to represent Coach Taylor after he's been unduly handcuffed. And let me just read basically what he says here. Tuskegee basketball head coach Benjy Taylor has hired renowned national civil rights attorney Harry Daniels, as well as attorneys Gregory Reynolds Williams, as well as Gerald Griggs, following an incident Saturday, January 31st in Atlanta, where a police officer needlessly handcuffed Coach Taylor and escorted him off the court after Tuskegee's Division II HBCU basketball game against Morehouse College. And it goes on, but here's what's kind of concerning to me is the fact that they said Coach Taylor was not charged with a crime. So the police officer who escorted him out heightened the situation, escalated the situation, and could have caused a very dangerous situation. Think about it. You talk about young men who just played a spirited game. There's always been a spirited rivalry between Morehouse as well as Tuskegee. But to be a part of the situation and leading coach off the court, if you look at the video, there was nothing that distinguished a need for Coach Taylor to be taken into handcuffs. It just doesn't really matter at this time. It happened. What's the next steps, guys? And how can we avoid a situation like this? And what type of training did or did not occur for this security officer or police officer? Coach Taylor, in my opinion, after watching the video, he did better than most people because he could have really blown the situation out of proportion. He could have resisted. He did not. He allowed the cuffs to go on and he walked off the court. Coach Dixon, I give credit to, from Morehouse College, he did try to intervene, but what was said by that police officer, you could see him backing off. Where was A.D. Ellis? We don't know at this moment. Where was any other executive leadership at Morehouse at that time? We don't know. Why is it taking so long for Morehouse College, a prestigious university, a prestigious institution, to be able to respond or have a lack of response? I don't know. What we do know is at this time, it's not a good look for HBCU basketball. It's not a good look for HBCU sports as a whole. Somebody said, well, maybe Morehouse needs to work on their response team for public relations. So, guys, I mean, Morehouse is not new to this. A.D. Ellis has been an athletic director for a number of years, 4 or 5, if not mistaken. I believe 4. It doesn't matter. Something has to be stated, and hopefully we'll hear from them soon. So I just had to go on record to say that as an alum, I'm very disappointed. Hopefully we'll hear from the institution and get this clarified. But as far as Tuskegee, Morehouse, I believe they have one more game left on the schedule. How do you play that game? If I'm incorrect, I haven't looked at the full schedule, but I believe they play twice a year. But just in case, how do you play that game? Right now, Morehouse College is on a 9-game winning streak. They're 8-0 in the Eastern Division. Western Division, Tuskegee sits on top of that division. So that was a big game for Morehouse to defeat their rival that they could potentially see 2 more times. Never know. when it comes to tournament or championship games or whatever, how the SIAC handles it. That could be an interesting situation. And hopefully, we haven't also heard from SIACM, and I'm pretty sure that Dr. Holloman is investigating. Okay, so go to HBCUlegends.net and we'll have more information about the occurrence as well as any details going forward to be able to give you guys a non-biased point of view on what happened with Coach Benjy Taylor. All right, guys. I've reached out to Coach Taylor's representatives to see if they would be interested to speak about it, and hopefully we can get a response from them as well. Let's talk about the PVIL. Guys, if y'all don't know, the PVIL, a very historic story that I had a chance to be a part of the screening that occurred this past week. And that screening took place here in Houston at the Edwards Mark Theater. Warren Moon, Andre Ware, John McClain, Ralph Cooper, Mean Joe Greene. Those are some of the guys that are behind the scenes that are in this, as well as some that have a part in producing this documentary. So the PVIL story is very historic. It's called the Prairie View Interscholastic League. It was an all-Black governing body for academics, athletics, and the arts. And it had a lifespan from 1920 all the way up to 1970, where after integration, the UIL, which is the white governing body for Texas sports, athletics, and everything, started to kind of swallow it up and integrate as well. So a lot of the talent that came from the PVIL were either integrated into their systems, bust elsewhere, outside of their school districts. Those things happened as well. So it's very interesting how that went down. So in 1920, the Prairie View College, A&M College, that's what it was called before it became a university, became the Prairie View Interscholastic League, headquartered there in Prairie View, Texas. The mission was to be able to provide structured competition guidelines for academic, speech, music, sports for Black in high schools. Okay. The white-only league was the UIL, called the University Interscholastic League. Now, with Prairie View, they started out with just 40 different schools. That thing grew up to 300 schools by 1927. Then it went to over 500 schools at one time. We had 7 Pro Football Hall of Famers to come out of that program. Mean Joe Greene and Johnny Houston were there witnessing this screening on Friday night. I have some interviews for them that I want you guys to see. And John McClain. We have Alphonse Moss, who is the father of Santana Moss. Alphonse Dotson, I apologize, who's the father of Santana Dotson. And we also have Ralph Cooper, Andre Ware, Nate Griffin. So all of these guys are going to be a part of the thoughts on the documentary. Now, the PVIL schools also produced Gene Upshaw, Charlie Taylor, Dick Knight, Train Lane. He was also a part of that Hall of Fame class that came from the PVIL, as well as Debbie Allen, Felicia Rashad, Barbara Jordan, they also came from that era as well. So there are a lot of teams that were very historic. Teams like the Dick Knight Train Lanes LC Anderson team. My old mentor, Mr. Whitley, he also played on that basketball team that was a state champion as well. So for LC Anderson, which is now phased out in that was Austin area, but they still meet every year for a reunion. Very good teams that came out of there. So why is this important, Kyle? A lot of HBCU talent was cultivated in the PVIL. All didn't stay here in the Houston area. All didn't stay in Texas. They all branched out across the nation. And like Dick Knight Train Lane, as well as Mean Joe Greene, you can see they went on to have some very colorful and very prominent years with championship teams, as well as being able to make their names in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. HBCU legends as well as NFL legends are synonymous when you talk about PVIL. Everybody didn't go to Canton, but there are a lot who made their marks. And some who didn't even play in professional sports made their marks as leaders in the community, doctors, lawyers, educators. They held themselves to a high standard. A lot of these young guys had a chance to be a part of HBCU coaching trees, like going to Grambling and studying under Eddie Robinson. You had Coach Nix at Prairie View. You had a lot of legends that helped open the door for great careers that were a part of the PVIL. So let's look at one of the first videos. And I think we're going to bring up the first video with John McClain, the legendary sports writer who just retired a few years ago, but still was very instrumental in doing the interviews for the PVIL Story documentary. And let's see if we can bring that up. Start off with John McClain. Well, we're here with John McClain, legendary sports writer who's retired, but you had a great influence on this PVIL documentary. Talk about the legacy of the PVIL.
Rob Lynch, it was his idea. He's one of our producers who almost walked in our shop. It was his idea. Mark Burns, the director, and the executive producer, Scott Nethery. I did most of the interviews, did the least amount of work. And the more we learned, I'm embarrassed that I grew up in Waco and didn't know about the Prairie View Interscholastic League, which of course is the all-black organization independent of the University Interscholastic League. And the more I learned about it, the madder I got. But the players, Joe Greene, Kenny Houston, all those great players, Jerry Levias, Johnny Rowland, they're not bitter. Yeah. I'm bitter from hearing the stories they went through. So they tell great stories. It's football, high school football in Texas. It's painful. It's powerful. It's rewarding. It's gut-wrenching. But the bottom line is these guys are heroes. They're the lifeblood of recruiting in colleges all over the country. And I'm just glad to be a small part of telling the story. We call it the PVIL story, separate but equal, with a question mark behind equal. Yes. What was the one thing that really grabbed your attention, grabbed your spirit going through those interviews? The 1960 Corpus Christi Miller, starring Johnny Rowland, won the first integrated state championship in 1960. Most of Texas wasn't integrated. The Corpus School District was. They went 13-1. We went and interviewed their 97-year-old head coach, Pete Regas, who's retired in Lubbock, and he told us the best team we played was not the one we beat in the championship, Wichita Falls. It was the team we beat in the semifinals. And he said they had the best player, a little nose guard that was like a Wolverine. They won 6-0 and Johnny ran for 60-yard touchdown. That team was Port Arthur Jefferson. That Wolverine was Jimmy Johnson.
Wow.
We called Jimmy and asked him if we could come to his house in Key Largo, Florida. He let us. We spent half a day with him talking about the times back then and what it was like. And it was enlightening. And then there's the Eldridge Dickey story, the greatest PVIL quarterback.
Yes.
Who was the first black quarterback drafted in the first round, 1968, by the Raiders. And the only reason Al Davis drafted him was to keep him away from his rival, Hank Stram.
Yeah.
And he moved Eldridge Dickey to receiver and special teams immediately because he had Darryl Monica, the starter, George Blanda, the backup, and they drafted Kenny Stabler in the second round after Eldridge Dickey.
Yeah.
Eldridge banged around for about 4 years, ended up dying here in 2000 as a pastor, and it was such a sad tale of what he could have done. Warren Moon, who knew about him when he was a child in L.A. because he read about him in Sport Magazine, said, I would never have been the quarterback I was if not for Eldridge Dickey's influence.
Yes. Look, I cover HBCUs, and James Shack Harris talks about Eldridge Dickey with such reverence because, he being a quarterback as well. If it was today, do you think Eldridge Dickey would have been far above what we're seeing in a lot of the college quarterbacks?
Guys who played with him, Nolan the Nat Smith, he was his favorite receiver at Tennessee State, which was Tennessee A&I then. And Dickey left here at Booker T. Washington to go to Tennessee State to play with the great John Merritt because he threw the ball. Yeah. And so Nolan was his leading receiver. And people used to say he was ambidextrous. And I'm like, okay, he's like Patrick Mahomes. He could throw it maybe 10 yards. Nolan said he could throw it 60 yards just like he threw it right-handed.
Wow.
And so Eldridge Dickey's nickname in junior high was the Lord's Prayer. And it was because they thought he was going to be the one who was going to show white owners, general managers, and coaches that a black quarterback could play just as well as a white quarterback.
Right.
And John Merritt had him in position to do it, and then Al Davis blew it, and Hank Stram said what Al Davis and the Raiders did to Eldridge Dickey was criminal.
Yeah.
And Eldridge Dickey, besides being a great athlete, he was really smart. Everybody thought he was the one, but he never got a chance to be the one. Alphonse Dotson, Santana Dotson's daddy, he's here tonight. He played with him with the Raiders. Alphonse got choked up when I interviewed him. He said, why are you getting so emotional talking about Eldridge Dickey? He said, because we thought he was the one.
Yeah. He was such a great talent. John Merritt used him and really groomed him so well over at Tennessee State. So it was a tragic loss. Well, thank you.
Excuse me. Nolan Smith and Alphonse Dotson compared him to Patrick Mahomes, the type of player he was. He could just throw it farther left-handed than Patrick Mahomes could throw it left-handed.
Well, look, James Shack Harris had a lot of great things to say about him as well as Doug Williams. So thank you so much. I appreciate the time. And tell everybody who you are again.
John McClain. I'm a producer on the PVIL Story, Separate But Equal.
All right, guys, that was John McClain. Great interview with the legend there. Eldridge Dickey. A lot of people don't know that name. A lot of young guys are not familiar. He was the first black athlete from an HBCU, as well as the first black quarterback to be selected #1 overall in any professional league draft for football. So it was with the old AFL. There was that competition between Al Davis, Lamar Hunt, and Hank Stram and those guys. They didn't want Eldridge, to fall in the hands of Hank Stram. That was just going to blow them out the wall, blow them out the water or whatever. So What happened? He went over to the Oakland Raiders. They never used him. But there was another story about Eldridge Dickey. Eldridge did get a chance to play in a preseason game when Stabler, as well as a couple of the guys, were injured. John Madden, old ball coach John Madden, put him into the game, and Eldridge had a great game. They didn't even win, but he played such a great role in the game. Not his players from the Oakland Raiders lifted him on their shoulders, but Buck Buchanan and those other great players from Kansas City Chiefs came across the field, lifted Eldridge Dickey on their shoulders, and carried him off the field. Wow. That's powerful. So we never got a chance to have him in the highlight reels. You see him in some of the old Tennessee State highlight reels, but Eldridge Dickey was one of the greatest HBCU players ever to play the game at quarterback. Okay, guys, let's listen to another interview. Let's listen to what Ralph Cooper had to say about the possible impact of this documentary. We're here with the legend Ralph Cooper. Coop, you were part of the PVIL Story documentary. Talk about its impact.
Well, the impact of it is, I think the impact is, the grade is still out. I mean, it's an A grade, but in regards to impact, we really don't know how impactful this is going to be. Hopefully it will be streamed where all of the younger people can have a chance to see this history that has been put into this one film, one documentary.
Thinking back to where it was and where we are today, do you think that a lot of the young people will be able to embrace this and be able to help chart a different direction for their future?
Yes, but I think those of us who are older play a role in this. We've got to make sure that maybe some of us are there when they watch this, maybe they answer a few questions that they may have after this, after they've seen this particular great piece of work. I want to commend Rob Lynch and all other parties that were involved in this, John McClain, Mark Berman, and all the others that were involved in this. I think it's a great, great project, a long time coming.
Well, thank you, Coop. And tell people how they can be able to find you out there.
Well, I'm a blessed individual. I'm on KCOH, The Source on the internet, the Simple Radio app, KCOH on the internet, and also Ralph Cooper Facebook Live. So I feel lucky. I want to thank all of the people who follow me, all of the individuals who follow me, and hopefully they're learning some things that I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, we keep learning. Every day you have great content and great stories.
Well, thank you very much, Kyle. And one thing, we're trying to continue to make memories also, Kyle.
Definitely.
We want to keep making memories.
Definitely. Thank you, Coop.
My name is Mackenzie, and I started a GoFundMe for the adoptive mother of a nonverbal autistic child. The mother had lost her job because she wasn't able to find adequate care for this autistic child. So she really needed some help with living expenses, paying some back bills. So I launched a GoFundMe to help support them during this crisis. And we raised about $10,000 within just a couple of months. I think that the surprising thing was by telling a clear story and just really being very clear about what we needed, we had some really generous donations from people who were really moved by the situation that this family was struggling with.
GoFundMe is the world's #1 fundraising platform trusted by over 200 million people. Start your GoFundMe today at GoFundMe.com. That's GoFundMe.com. GoFundMe.com. This podcast is supported by GoFundMe.
You know that goal you set at the start of the year? You can still do it. Whether you're committed to a thru hike with friends, lifting heavier, or simply walking more. It's not too late to stick with it and make your future self proud, especially with the all-in-one nutrition shake from Cavil. Because quality nutrition shouldn't be complicated. Just 2 scoops of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake, and you've got 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and so much more. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. So instead of adding to your backstock of supplements that overpromise and underdeliver, simplify your progress with just 2 scoops of the highest quality ingredients. Stick with your wellness goals. Go to Kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's Kachava.com and use code NEWS. KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
Okay, guys, that was Ralph Cooper, KCOH of Houston, Texas. Over 54 years of broadcasting experience. Coop was there with George Foreman's camp at the Rumble in the Jungle in Zaire. Young guy, I think he was in early 20s at that time, and he stayed the whole 9 weeks covering that event. Coop has great stories. He's been a part of legendary fights and been covering legendary fights for many a year. You guys think Howard Cosell had great content? You got to listen to Ralph Cooper. He has some great one-on-one stories that he can tell you. He's a part of history, guys. You just don't know. He's been broadcasting, like I said, 54 years. He's been in the Hall of Fames. He needs to be in more broadcasting Hall of Fames, and people need to know the name Ralph Cooper. Okay, who's up next? Let's see. Let's go to Alphonse Dotson, who, if you guys don't know, that's Santana Dotson's father, but he also was a teammate of Eldridge Dickey, and he came from the PVIL himself. All right, who we here with?
Yeah, I want to tell you, hey, yours truly, Alphonse Dotson, Jack Yates High. But I want to tell you about a little bit about a guy named Eldridge Dickey. If you're mesmerized with Patrick Mahomes, you'll be damn sure infatuated with Eldridge Dickey. That was a young man all the way from junior high, high school in Tennessee State and at Oakland, and a moment or two in Kansas City, that when he left Tennessee, let alone could he roll out to his right and chunk 70 yards accurate, he could roll out to his left and chunk it 45 to 50 yards accurate.
So he was ambidextrous, right?
Ambidextrous all the way. And then he could punt 40 to 45 yards. Eldridge got caught in an interesting situation. He's drafted by the Raiders in order to keep him, in my feelings, away from Kansas City. And the Raiders had also drafted Stabler in the same year. We had that, the Raiders, we had LaMonica and Blanda already. And so here comes Eldridge, and Al sent Stabler to recoup from a marriage that hadn't gone bad and not come that particular year. While Eldridge was at the Raiders, they also had him play wide receiver. The talent was there, but what happened accordingly, getting caught in this crossfire of when and him not having the patience, well, let me correct that. Him not having the right support system.
Do you think John Madden didn't give him the support that he needed, or did it come from Al Davis?
I would probably say it might have probably came from up top, because when you still have the Mad Bummer and Blanda that are doing well, the best thing that needed to happen with Eldridge is someone to help him have patience. And coming up through junior high, high school, and college, that's one thing he wasn't taught just because of how good he was. My personal feeling that it brought me to tears, and I don't fall to tears that easy, was I strongly feel that he didn't have the support system off the field to do the mentoring in reference to being redundant with that word, have patience, and knowing that his time would actually come.
Now, let me ask you, I know he passed away here in Houston, was early 2000s, right?
Right.
Do you think if his talent, the way it was back then, leading to today, what type of quarterback do you think he would have been?
Hell, that's easy. If he wasn't playing in the same conference with Patrick and in the NFC, they'd be playing against each other easily 8 out of 10 times throughout every year, 10 years in a row. Easily, or playing in the same conference down to the Final Four, trying to see who was going to outdo each other.
Yeah.
And I'd take Eldridge all the way. That I would.
Well, look, your son played professionally as well. If you had to talk to these younger guys today in getting themselves ready for the NFL draft, what would you tell them? How to prepare themselves?
First, learn how to do all the things you don't want to do good. Don't have to be excel in it, but if you're average doing good at the things you don't like, then that means you ought to be excellent or excel in the things that you do. Patience, togetherness. Don't be an individual that is all about me. And at the same time, have the right support system or find the right ladies besides your mom to help you when things aren't going right, or the right men in your life. Then, nurturing that talent to find a way to be demanding of yourself each and every day that you go out there and put on and try to develop that craft that you think you have some talent in. Really be demanding of yourself, and simply, I would say this way, and I had one goal, and I don't say that egotistically. On my worst day, I want to be average, so nobody knows I'm having a damn off day.
Gotcha.
And that's what I tell them.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Dotson. It's a pleasure meeting.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for taking the time and wanting to hear what an old geezer or an old-ass Oakland Raider would have to say from Jack Yates High.
You're a legend. Oh, man. Alphonse Dotson. What I did not know, and later we continued our conversation, Alphonse Dotson and my father worked together. Did not know that. Juvenile probation officers, New Orleans Parish. All right, guys, let's talk a little, Orleans Parish, I should say. Let's talk a little bit about our next guy. You should know him. His name is Mean Joe Greene. Went to North Texas, I think it was North Texas College at that time. Made a name for himself. A team that was growing and had a head coach named Noel selected him. He went on to play with L.C. Greenwood and a lot of those legendary guys who won multiple Super Bowl championships with Pittsburgh. And that's none other than Mean Joe Greene. Mr. Greene, and his name, Mean Joe Greene. He was kind of surly, but Mean Joe Greene was a great player. And he said you had to play with a chip on your shoulder. If you want to win, you got to play with a chip on your shoulder. So let's talk to Mr. Greene and listen to what he has to say. How do you feel about this documentary coming to life at this time?
Well, it's a good thing that it is coming to life because, I was a part of it during my 4 years in high school football. And for the most part, a lot of it was a mystery to me. And when I left and went to college and went to pro ball, it still was a mystery because of, I guess it was lack of funding, lack of interest, whatever. The people that had the knowledge of being in the PVIL, they just needed some support and they weren't getting it.
The legacy of the over 500 schools being a part of the PVIL and what they were able to do for the young high school students and launching careers going into HBCUs or other areas. How special was that just for you to be a part of it?
Well, had it not been for this PVIL, I don't know if I ever would have received a scholarship and got noticed the way that I did. So someone had to be speaking on my behalf, and for that I'm very thankful.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Mr. Greene. Thank you so much for everything you have been able to contribute to not only to sports, but young guys looking up to you when you were playing with the Steelers and beyond.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, after a while, you start playing for yourself because if you don't, you're going to get killed.
Yeah.
I started defending myself.
Yeah. Well, he started defending himself, and he defended himself pretty well. A lot of people know Mean Joe Greene from the Coca-Cola commercial with the young boy running up behind him, Mr. Greene, Mr. Greene. Yeah, well, Mean Joe Greene, a legend, not only in the state of Texas and PVIL legend, but also a legend in pro football. And guys, let's see, we have here, let's see, we'll give you, let's hear what Johnny Houston had to say. If you guys don't know Johnny Houston, that is the Pro Football Hall of Famer as well. And then we'll have Robert Brazile. We're here. Sorry about that. Hall of Famer Kenny Houston. How do you feel about the outcome of the documentary?
I think the documentary was good. Something that was overdue. I know you can't have a second one, but there's so many guys that were missed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't know about what took place.
Yeah.
And so it was rewarding for my family and the kids to see that we had a story. And we've always known that.
Not only had a story, had such a great place in the writing the history for Texas sports as a whole.
Yes, and the thing about it, we always knew that. But it was hard to get it across because of, for whatever reason. But, you know, it's too late to start something over, but we can definitely fit in what was in the past and be a part of the future.
Yeah, definitely. Last question. HBCUs. I covered HBCUs. How do you feel about what Prairie View did this past year?
I was totally excited. The coach did a great job. The kids were great. They built a future that, even though they had one in the past,
yes,
they're looking good.
Good. Thank you. Okay, that was Kenny Houston. And let's see here. Let's bring up Mr. Robert Brazile. Dr. Doom.
The love for this, whoever put it in the thought of doing something like this. Our kids don't know exactly what we had to go through. When this was going on, I was in Mobile struggling in high school with the same thing. And I really thought my parents was crazy. But they said, you got to go to the white school. I mean, I was busting my white school in my sophomore year. And when I walked in, guess what? There was 5 blacks there. 5 blacks. But I knew then I had to persevere and do the things and project and show things that my parents had put in me. and from a Christian background, I knew I had to do what was right. It made me a better player.
Yeah.
Made me a better person.
Yeah.
Made me a better brother. Made me a better son. And guess what? It led to this. The Pro Football Hall of
Championship.
Fame.
That's right. And Pro Football Hall of Fame. One last question. HBCUs, Jackson State, you guys didn't make it quite there yet, but TC Taylor, you can't count against him trying to repeat for a national championship.
You got to give credit where credit is due. If you know football, Prairie View had the best team in the SWAC. They beat the people they had to beat. They represent the SWAC well. They got a little bit accolade. I mean, 1 or 2 plays, but that's football. But you put that and take that and build off of that. I hope they come back and try to defend it, what they needed. We did it. We went back after we got beat. We went back and got the championship.
Yeah.
I hope they can do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to it. That's going to be I think it's going to be a battle for many, many years if they keep TC Taylor and Tremaine Jackson in place.
We're going to beat Prairie View next year.
Okay. All right, PVE Panthers, you heard that. Dr. Doom, he said you guys are going to go down to Jackson State in 2026. Coach Tremaine Jackson has different plans. Trust me when I say that. All right, guys, let's see. We'll bring up a couple more people. Let's see what Nate Griffin had to say about what went on with the documentary. If you guys don't know, Nate is a popular, we call him Hollywood. He's like a big brother to me, as well as a lot of other guys. But Nate, he's on Fox 26 News, and he also does the play-by-play for Rice football. And he's just one of the great sportscasters, and used to play the game as well. Yes, sir. I feel like Mose. We're here with Nate Hollywood Griffin. Hollywood, what do you think about the PVIL story?
It was incredible. I learned things I had no idea about. Galveston Ball, the first football team here in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And Galveston Ball is right down the road. How do you know unless you watch something like this with guys like Ralph Cooper, John McClain, Warren Moon, all these great guys that have so much history and so much knowledge. Michael Hurd, the way he was able to conduct himself during the interview, this is incredible. What they've been able to get done, accomplished in a short amount of time, and then put out so people can actually watch and learn. This is incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. But you also have to think about so much was probably left on the cutting room floor, right? So much we probably haven't heard also.
They could pick that up and make another documentary. All of the other information that they didn't have time to input in this first one. And that's usually what happens. You try and consolidate what you can, but you want to keep it tight so people don't go to sleep at the movie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they wake up and they're still going. That's what could happen because there's so much great information. You wake up and not miss a move, not miss a step because you learn so much. But this was so educational for us. And I think once it gets out, once people really understand what the PVIL was all about, and what the UIL was about and how it all got started, it's really going to wake some people up.
Yeah, definitely. All right, tell everybody. Okay, that was Nate Griffin. Let's also see if we can hear from Andre Ware. If you guys don't know, that's a former Heisman Trophy winner, NFL player as well. And Andre Ware was one of the producers for this documentary.
Just blown away. I thought I knew everything there was to know about high school football in Texas, college football in Texas, the NFL, everything. But tonight I was educated on even more, blown away. It's a show or a film that everybody needs to get out and see. If you have any kind of athletic background, you're from the state of Texas and you played football, this is a movie to make sure that you get the chance to see. It's just phenomenal. I'll leave it at that without telling and giving anything away, but it is educational. It's a great movie. It captivated me. I didn't even have to take the 5-minute nap during the
And
meet.
you one of the producers.
and one of the producers. So it was great. I had no idea how this was going to turn out, but it's phenomenal.
Andre, I gotta say this: the HBCU Legacy Bowl is about to come up, right? Mm-hmm. I think this will be phenomenal for you guys to show that to those young men, those 100 young men who are playing in that game.
I think so as well. I think every young man that grows up in the state of Texas needs to see this film, and for nothing other than just the educational part of it. You need to know what came before you, who paved the way, and all of that. And so I think this is a perfect way for them to implement this into a young man's life.
Look, you have to be proud of being a producer, but making sure that this history goes on and the story is still being told, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you don't want this to come to, because you lose the history, you lose the legacy of all of it. And so I think that it needs to be told, it needs to be revisited, and so that nothing gets lost between the cracks.
All right. Thank you, Andre. Okay, Andre Ware, Heisman Trophy winner. Andre's a great guy. He also does broadcasting for the University of Houston as well as the Texans. So Andre Ware. And let's see if we can hear from Dr. Cavil and as well as Charles Bishop. Charles Bishop inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Chuck, you've seen a lot of historical movies, documentaries, and things of that nature. Did you ever think about the impact the PVIL had on the history of sports?
It's tremendous. I mean, when you sit back and you take a look at their imprint on history, not to give away too much, but just to see actual footage of high school football in PVIL, to see footage of Eldridge Dickey. I mean, that's tremendous. And
wasn't that moving, man?
That was so moving. And I tell you what, Kyle, in this day and age where history, they're trying to taper back on it or erase history, for history to be portrayed in the manner that it was, that's tremendous. It's tremendous to watch.
Yeah. You know, what struck me was the history of LBJ.
Yes.
And you think about the important acts that he were able to have for our communities as Americans, and now to see most of those trying to be wiped away and destroyed. What's your thoughts?
And I think that was a very important point that is brought out within the documentary in terms of what we looked at back then, LBJ 64 to 68, the Great Society, in terms of the acts that were enacted then. We're talking clean water. We're talking on so many things that had a direct impact on civil rights. And again, I come back to, we're in this day and age where we're trying to rewrite history, and for a documentary to come out that brings that history out, ties it into sports, it was phenomenal to watch, and it's a very moving documentary.
It is. Thank you so much for everything, Chuck.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for all that you do with regards to sports in general here in Houston. Tremendous interviews. I always follow you all the time, brother.
Thank you. And tell everybody how they can find you out there on the World Wide Web.
Absolutely. Dr. Cavil is inside the HBCU Sports Lab Tuesdays and Thursdays, of course. You'll catch me doing play-by-play within Swag TV, football, basketball, baseball. So you can find me out there.
All right. Yes, that's Mr. Charles Bishop. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Take care. And that was Charles Bishop. Great play-by-play that he's doing for SWAC TV at this time. You're going to hear him on some of the football games. He may do some, I know he's going to do some baseball games as well. And I think he may have a couple of basketball games before the season is out. All right, let's listen to Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. All right, I grabbed him. It's Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. Doc, this is you're a historian, number one. What are your thoughts about this PVIL documentary?
I thought it's important, certainly timely in terms of what's going on now. and it's never not the right time to make sure we tell our stories, the history, particularly when you talk about the historically black high schools and even really middle schools and elementaries. But what was prominently told in here is about a lot of the sporting history, particularly with an angle on football in regards to the segregated schools in the state of Texas under the umbrella of the Prairie View Interscholastic League. And so it's important to pass the generation to catalog that information. I thought they did a really good job. One of the things, obviously, as somebody that's not just tied to the state of Texas and the history here, but a lot of my work is on HBCUs. So the fact that they had the ability to tell a story of really how the PVIL fed HBCUs, and not just HBCUs in the state of Texas, also around the country, and they really tied that in when they looked at Eldridge Dickey and what he did going to Tennessee State. So I thought that was really good in terms of what that looks like. So happy, a lot of history, really good to see that work done.
All right. Tell everybody how they can find you out there on the World Wide Web.
Yes, they can find me at www.thgagency.com, consulting company. It has the information about the show that we do on YouTube, Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, a show that we do on Tuesday and Thursday from 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. During football season, since we talked a little bit about it, we do a Sunday morning show at 9 a.m. Central Time before everybody chooses to head to the Sunday church. But we're excited about it. Right now we're in basketball, and as you know, and you've been covering it so well, you talk about what's taking place on the hardwood, both for the men's and women's. We're right about at that halfway mark for the major division.
Yeah, it's going by so quick.
Yeah, so quick. Just past the halfway mark, if you would, for the mid-majors. But it's fascinating when you talk about people chasing regular season championships, and then it's time to put on your shoes, as we would say, your tennis shoes in this clay, because a lot of folks want to go dancing.
Yeah, a lot of people. I'm surprised at my Maroon Tigers, how well they're doing.
Yeah, a lot of excited. I'm excited about the Maroon Tigers over there in the SIAC, particularly in the Eastern Division. Got that big win over Clark Atlanta, the Rivals.
And Miles last night.
Oh, that
I couldn't
was
believe
even bigger, I would say,
that was
against
first
Miles.
time in 8 tries.
Yes, and it really wasn't as close as the score indicated, because they didn't hit all the free throws, but imagine what they did in. So they won comfortably. And you know this. Yeah. Miles is not an easy place to go in and win when you go to Fairfield, and the home of those Golden Bears. So shout out to the Maroon Tigers getting it done in the SIAC. They look forward to go dancing as well. So it should be fascinating to see how the end of the season goes. And then when you get in the tournament, you know anything can happen, particularly in the SIAC.
Yeah, speaking of anything can happen, tomorrow is a big rivalry game, the first part of the Texas Southern PV rivalry, and it's going to go down. It's going to be a frigid day up there in Prairie View. Talk about it right quick.
Yeah, it'll be frigid outside, but it'll be hot inside. There's a lot of people
at the Baby Dome.
At the Baby Dome will get extremely excited. Prairie View has struggled a little bit of late, but you know, it's something about fighting the Tigers and being at home. It should be interesting both on the men's and women's side. Can the women get their first win of the season? And can the men kind of bounce back and get things interesting as they close up officially on the first half of the SWAC season?
Definitely. All right. Thank you, Doc. Thank you for everything that you do to help push forward the narrative and the history of HBCUs.
My pleasure. Thank you for the time.
All right, take care. Okay, that was Dr. Kenyatta Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Okay, guys, he's also dean over at Texas Southern University Sports Management Program. If you guys are interested in the sports management program, reach out to him directly. He can be able to guide you through what you need to do in order to become a part of it. I am Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. Go to hbculegends.net to read the content, and follow us, please, on HBCU Legends, our YouTube channel, or you can follow our social media channels on X and Facebook as well. But let's keep on supporting HBCUs. Let's make sure we avoid any disturbing situations like it has been happening. But in all conflict, if you find ways to find resolution, things can get better. And I think that's a part in any walk of your life. And I think right now we have an opportunity to refine some of the situations, some of the circumstances that go on in our HBCU sports world. We can make it better. That's my hope, that's my wish, and that's my dream, to be able to make sure we enhance our product. Because every one of these institutions are a brand, but they are important to educating, not only in sports, but also in the world of education, to make sure that we support what these young people can do for their futures. Cheer, rah, support you guys, get a little petty at times. That's all about the fun of HBCU sports. But we can't do it if we're trying to tear each other down. There's a thin line between petty and hate. Don't cross it. You can be a little petty, support your people. Don't have to be hateful and spiteful. That's a word from KT. That's how I feel. Remember, don't be good as, be better than, and always be tenacious and follow your dreams. I'm Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. Have a great day. Take care.